Hey everyone, welcome back. Um, this is our series of a wealth planner and an attorney walk into a bar. If you joined us last week, you know that the idea behind this is talking through, kind of the life cycle of a business. What are the things? Last week we talked about the foundation of your business, what it is that you needed to have in place, and LLC entity business formation, and how are you saving? How are you funding that business? How are you saving the things you should consider? This week, we're now talking about you've been riding it, you've been rocking it, doing your thing. You're now at your 15,000, 20,000 plus per month, or more than that. Some people they have a great idea and then explode more than they were initially anticipating. But now you're out of that beginning and stage as it relates to your revenues and your business operations. So the question is, what do you do? How does the role Karla and I play? How is that helpful to your business? What are the things you should be considering? What's the discussion we're going to be having? So before we go any further, I'll do introductions. My name is Patrice. I always forget that part. I just want to be like, oh, let's talk about the juice. Um, my name is Patrice Tisdale. I am the Chief Legal Counsel for organizations and entrepreneurs that are ready to leverage the law to their advantage so that they have full confidence in their contracts and their transactions, and that they have a fully vetted path towards their business goals. So similar to what, billionaires do, but without spending the billions. And I do that in a different way. Most attorneys, most counsels, they're going to charge you hourly. I'm very invested in making sure that my clients, we actually have a relationship and we can have conversations, because every business decision has a legal impact. It is a legal decision. So I offer my services on a monthly recurrent flat fee. So you can, plan for it. And it doesn't hinder you from having these conversations when you're making business decisions, to pick up the phone and just check in. Um, so that's me and my role in organizations. And Karla?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Karla Ukman, and I am founder and wealth planner of Artemis Wealth Management, and I am not your father's advisor. And what does that mean? That means that I work with women and historically excluded communities where I create a safe space for them to build wealth their own way. And I do that by providing education behind the why when it comes to all things finance. And I truly believe that we can impact generations to come when it comes to wealth building. I also focus on the planning side. I want to make sure that we are given a roadmap to reaching our money goals and doing it correctly, instead of the willy-nilly has been going around the internet. So I'm going to use that, willy-nillying it, and just putting our money here and there.
Mhm.
And we need to have purpose. So that's what I do, and I'm so excited for us to be able to connect and offer this insight to business owners and entrepreneurs, because we see a lot of things that are given out falsely on these internet streets, and we want to make sure that we are giving you the correct information,
Mhm.
because we are both licensed, and we're not going to give you false information because our license are on the line. So just to give you that too.
Yep. Yep. And that's one of the things as who is it? Oh gosh, what is that cartoon's dad name that really Peter, where it's like it really grinds my gears, is to see all these gurus out there that are just floating all kind of advice. And they can, because they have nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
We can't just be out there, doing that, because we do have licenses,
Yep.
in multiple states. We have, multiple governing bodies watching what we are doing and saying. So we have to make sure that we're making sure what we say is correct and it's
Yep.
vetted. Um, and yes, some of it is going to be, majority of it will be general. We can use specific things as examples as to what you should and shouldn't do. But this is not advice for you to take and just apply to your situation because we don't know your situation specifically. So if that's something that you want to do, reach out to one of us and we can have that conversation. But this is an overarching kind of, hey, here are what we see, typically amongst our clients or those who reach out to engage with us.
Yeah.
So on that path is, one of the things that we have seen on these, internet streets is individuals talking about escort, 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 escort. You should,
They do the
go.
math on the piece of paper, they're like, oh, the escort this, and they'll see this.
Yes, yes, exactly. And some have gotten fancy. They get the whiteboard and, they
Oh,
write it
yeah.
down. So,
Mm,
that means it's
yes.
official, official.
It's on a whiteboard.
So, how do you decide, and what are the implications of changing your LLC to an S corp? So last week we talked about having an LLC to create that separation between you and your business, so that liability, if things go wrong in the business, they can't come after your personal house, car, personal bank account. Um, S corp is another, subsection. What do you do? What do you look at? Carla's going to talk more about, some of the other implications, but I'll touch on, two real quick. One, I've had individuals call and say, "Hey, I want to change my LLC to an S corp." And I said, "Okay, the first question, can your business act, well, what's the position that you're going to hold? What's the title that you're going to take in your business? Because you need to know that. The second is, what is the market rate to pay for that position? If you went applying somewhere else and you apply for this position, what is the salary that you expect to get paid for that position?" And then, I let them tell me and they go on and, yeah, we think, then it's like, can your business afford to pay you that? Right. So we can make the changes, if you want, but typically I don't do the finances. I don't do the numbers of a business. I leave that to Carla. I leave that to others like Kelly that does, the bookkeeping
Mhm.
and CFO work. But I do ask those questions before I get to the legalese because I can go into the legalese all day, but if you can't meet that requirement, there's no need for us to talk about the legalese. Um, so those are kind of the first three questions that I would ask. Then once if you get and if you're not sure, I will say to them, go talk to Carla. Go talk to, your CPA, your bookkeeping person, your
Mhm.
CFO. Go and talk to them and then come back to me. Once they give you the go ahead, even if they've told me, yes, I'm sure it can, did you get that approval from, from your CPA? So it is very much when we say we work together, we work
Yes.
together where, we make sure that you're not going to put yourself in hot water. But all that being said, saying, yes, you can do that. Then we're going to go again, the foundations. We're going to go and we have to change your operating agreement, would need to reflect it. With a S Corp, you can now have shares. Of course, it's limited. There are restrictions on there, so it's think up to like the most is 100 shares, or 100 shares that you can have amongst the shareholders. Those shareholders need to be U.S. citizens or residents, like having some lawful, status, within the country. There are a lot of other restrictions that we would go through, but if that is a decision that you'd want to make, those are some of the things that we would be looking at. It's a foundation. It's not just running to, the IRS website and filling out the form and submitting it, and then you're good to go. There are aspects of your business that you need to be able to, look at, and make changes so that they align with how you are going to operate. And as I said, my questions are financial. So then Carla,
Yeah.
this is where you come in, as you said, it affects your savings, what you're doing, et cetera. But this is a conversation, like I'll say, go talk to Carla. And then Carla let you, let you know. And let me know if
Then I'll
I'm.
be like, okay.
So
Well,
what are some of the things
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, what are some of the things that you, look at and talk about with your clients, both, as you said, the professional and the personal, if they want to make this change?
Yeah. So When we're looking at the money, and we talked about this for the foundation, so you can't look at your business and your personal separately. They're intertwined because you're an entrepreneur. And so now, not only do you have your business income, and when we switch over to like an S Corp, you're paying yourself. And so that it's the same money. It's coming from all the same areas. So you have to make sure that we're focusing on your whole money picture and not just your business,
Mhm.
because your business affects your personal. And when we look at changing from an LLC to an S Corp, there are ways that you're taxed differently. And we're not going to get into all that right now, but you have to make sure that it's going to be in the best interest for you. And we talk about this all the time. Our goal is to keep more money in your pocket and less going to risk. And so you're risking giving up more money to taxes if you do this prematurely. Maybe you should have changed to an S Corp in a couple years, depending on what your revenue is and how you would be paying yourself. That's where I come in and I can do a projection of tax planning for you and business planning. So we get the numbers from, let's say, Kelly, and she's doing your books. We understand, your inflows and outflows and how much we're going to be paying you from that S Corp. Now we're like, okay, before we switch,
Mhm.
how is that going to, affect your taxes? Maybe you inherit money.
Mhm.
That is something that people don't take into consideration as well. As when we're inheriting money, that affects our taxes. So maybe we should have changed to an S Corp in a couple years, determining, depending on what all that is. So we talk to Patrice, we talk to me, we do a projection, we talk to CPA, bookkeeper, make sure that all these are in place at the right time so that you're not giving up thousands of dollars if you would have just waited. Or maybe you need to do it now before you
Mhm.
inherit something, or before something happens and you should have done it. And we're like, okay, let's do this now. And we can look at it that way. So those are things that are super important when we're working with business owners. Is it's looking at the whole picture. It is not just your personal over here and your business over here. It's all intertwined as an entrepreneur. And when we're looking at the S Corp, strategies, when you have income coming from that, it is taxed, and your savings is also different. And so we just want to make sure that everything is working together when
Mhm.
we do eventually change from an LLC to an S Corp.
Sure. So lesson, get a team, talk to your team, have your team talk to each other,
Yes.
and know that this is a whole body, process. So for legal purposes, yes, separate entities, but for planning purposes, wealth planning purposes, you're doing this, most people get into business to build that wealth. So for wealth planning purposes, you do need to look at how that impacts your personal as much as how it impacts your business. And so
Hmm.
get your team together and and talk to your team. And we've said it in the previous ones, this is a no judgment zone, right? Like even us in business, like there are things that we know that we should do before. There's a I'm assuming I'm gonna say Jamaican saying because that's where I hear it in my my family, but an old saying that the dressmaker always has the worst dress, right? They do.
Yes.
So we know that there's always things with our operation as well that we need to fix up and we need to be looking at, et cetera. So there is no way that we're judging, any of our clients that come to us. Like we are glad that you take that initiative, and come to us and get that in order because you have your zone of genius that you're working on and focusing on, and that's what you should do. And then you surround yourselves with individuals that their zones complement what you're looking to do. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And one of the things that you just mentioned, maybe think also about the savings when you're an entrepreneur. Um, we talked last time where we're zoning in, we're trying to make money. We had our old employer where they could, contribute to 401k, 403b, and now it's on you. Well, when you change over to an S corp, you're usually making, way more money. That's the goal, right? Well, you have things that are available to you as an entrepreneur to save for retirement. And it's not just your traditional IRA, because your traditional IRA has limits to it and contribution limits. So now we're making all this money. We need to make sure that we're utilizing the different tools that are available to you. And this is also where the tax planning comes into play, and where, how much are we even supposed to be contributing to this? And this is where we all talk, because we don't want to just start putting money into these accounts, because what if you need that money later on and it wasn't earmarked for retirement?
Mm-hmm.
So that is super important to make sure you, as an entrepreneur, and you're making more, you have, it's called a SEP IRA. You also have 401ks available as an entrepreneur. It's not just for these big corporations. You have that available. There are compliance uh, things that you have to have for a 401k, and that's where, Patrice and I would talk you through that. But yeah, so those are two things that you also want to think about when you're switching over from an LLC to an S corp. Now you're making more money. There's also different ways that you can save for yourself.
Yep. Yep. So if this is interesting, I know it's interesting for us
Yeah.
because of what we do. But if you're at that space, or you're at that, like, hold on, I need to get a little bit more information about this, etc. Karla and I are going to be doing our master classes on the fourth Wednesday of every month, so that we can get into the details. We can get into some of the weeds in the master class with the individuals that, that are there. So we will drop the link for it in the chat, or sorry, in the comment section,
Yeah.
so that you can register for the master class. So the first one is going to be in January, and we are going to, yeah, fourth Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join us, and so you can, pick our brains a bit more. We can delve into some of these things a little bit more, but overall, we just want to make sure that your foundation is set, that your steps are set, and you have as minimal bumps along the road towards your wealth as possible. So join us fourth Wednesday of every month, starting in January.
Yeah. And how can people reach out to you?
Always forget that part. I'm like,
Bye.
bye.
I got you.
So,
I got you.
thank you. You saw the hands ready to be like,
I'm like, no, we're not ready yet.
so they can reach out to me. My website is reallawesq.com, and that's real, REAL, lawesq.com. Or, whichever platform you're looking at this on, comment here or message me on that platform. So, Facebook is Tracy Tisdale. Instagram, it's at real_law_esq. And how about you, Karla? How can people reach out?
Yeah. So same way on the platform. So if you're watching me on LinkedIn, you can send me a DM. You can also click the book an appointment link in there. You can schedule a free 30-minute, and also in Facebook, I have that link there. And you can also visit my website at artemiswealth.net. And yeah, just ask us anything. If you're unsure of who you're supposed to contact for certain questions, we are here. We will make sure that you get to the right person. And like we shared last time, even if it's not one of us, we have a money team, we have team members, and we will guide you to the right person.
Yep. All right. Now,
Okay.
Bye.
Now we're done.
Now I can do my my bye hand.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.